Hi, Capricorn. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for November of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julie Mijas in Pioneer, California.
Well, Capricorn, if this is your sun sign, then your annual mop-up period is about to begin. That's the 30 days before your birthday. Getting a birthday reading now positions you powerfully for your personal new year. You'll find a link to help you do that in the text that comes with this video. Well, the first thing I want to say is that Juno is no longer retrograde, thank goodness. That was a really rough couple of months on our relationships. And a lot of us questioned our relationships or had to face a partner who was questioning the relationship. But it's done, and we're getting clear of it and getting ready to move on with whatever we have right now. So if you have had some big relationship turbulence in the last couple of months since July, and you want to understand it more fully, we've got 3 videos about this in our playlists on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. And you would want to look in July, September, and October, and look for things about Juno. So Ceres is in Virgo all month. Here she is traveling along through the 9th house where she loves to be. And the great thing about Ceres in your 9th house is that your finances can expand. So this is a really good month. And I would say last month and this month, both. This is a really good month for making a shift in your belief about the value that you bring. Because when you shift your beliefs about money, you can expand your havingness and you can earn more. So this is a really good month for re-examining what you believe about your value and about your finances and how great they can be, and expanding on that so that you can begin to bring in more. So let's see. Another thing I want to mention is that Jupiter is in Pisces this month, and it's retrograde. When Jupiter is retrograde, sometimes we feel like our growth process kind of has to slow down and turn inward. It's in your 3rd house, and this is a house of the intellect, of learning and curiosity. When Jupiter is in this house, you want to be expanding your mind, expanding your ideas, and expanding your voice. So this could be a really good month for writing, and particularly it could be a really good month for going back over some writing that you've done previously that needs another look, and maybe you need to grow it from an initial idea seed into a full-blown first draft, or take it from first draft to second draft. But it should definitely be the aspect of writing that has to do with expanding, not contracting. This isn't necessarily an editing phase I'm talking about. But this is actually a great time for growing your voice, and in particular on November 23rd, when Jupiter goes direct, you'll see the little red RX is going to disappear. See there, it disappeared. When Jupiter goes direct, then you'll feel like you're ready to move forward with that writing project. Right now is a good time for like going back over something old, and then after the 23rd, moving forward. Hey, Julia, I know you've got news about Mars retrograde, and I think that's some pretty important stuff.
Oh, yes. Well, hey there, Capricorn. Mars retrograde. This happens about once every 2 years, so it's pretty significant. And it's going to be going on for a few months. Now, all of this is happening in your 6th house. This is a health house. This house rules your work as well. And it's also a house that has to do with organization, basically your sense of order in life. So with Mars retrograde in this house, This might be a time where you might have to sort of take back some things that you say at work because it is in the sign of Gemini, the sign of communication. You also might have to redo some work projects that you're involved in, and that can be very frustrating as well. This could also be a time of having to go back over some health strategies of yours, especially if they include physical health strategies like working out. And the sixth house, since it's the house of organization, whatever you organize in your life now, you're probably going to have to go back over again, whether that's stuff at work or whether that's just even in your home place as well.
Now, hey, Julia, do you think that people with Mars traveling through the sixth house might maybe get into conflict with coworkers, might have to face angry coworkers?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And if you get angry at a coworker too, you might have to sort of go back over things that you've said or, some of your actions as well in there too. Definitely worth mentioning. Now, Mercury, the planet of communication, it also rules your mind. Wherever we have it is where we tend to be preoccupied that month. Mercury starts the month in your 11th house. This is a nice house. It represents your friends. It represents any social groups you're a part of. And it also represents your wishes, hopes, and dreams in life, long-term goals. So your mind is really preoccupied with the future during this transit. You could also notice that you're connecting a lot more to your friends, either through group texts or phone calls or just meeting up with your buddies. And on November 8th, this is a very important day to keep track of because Mercury will be exactly conjoined the Sun, which we know as Greater Epiphany Day. And that's a time of insights and revelations. So in your 11th house, you could be having some insight about a friend, or perhaps you have an insight about a long-term goal of yours, maybe involving a strategy or tweaking it in some way. Then on November 17th, Mercury goes into the 12th house. And after that day, you'll probably be feeling a little less social because the 12th house is a very isolated place. Mercury in the 12th house is a good time for being very introspective. It can also be a time where we have more vivid dreams, a more sort of vivid internal world, and a time where we're a little bit less inclined to share our ideas with other people as well. And then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, she begins the month in your 11th house. So we have a strong focus on both the 11th for the first half of the month and then the 12th for you, the second half of the month. And when Venus comes into the 11th, she gives a little bit of luck, a little bit of pleasure wherever she goes. So this could be a time where you're really, really enjoying your social circles. Maybe you are benefited by some group that you're a part of, whether it's a union, a club, a society, a gamer circle. And Venus in the 11th can give a little bit of luck in moving forward towards some dream, wish, or hope that you have. Then on November 15th, Venus goes in the 12th house where, she enters there first before Mercury, just a couple of days ahead. And when Venus goes into the 12th, you're going to be enjoying just being on your own a lot more by the second part of the month, a lot less social. And if you do have a partner, then you'll be enjoying them more sort of like away from the eyes of the world, whether that's hanging out inside or whether that's going on a camping trip together where you're not going to see anybody else too.
Yes, indeed. I have a couple of moons and a seasonal change to report. First of all, we have the full moon, which is also a lunar eclipse right here in Taurus in your 5th house, hanging out with Uranus and the North Node, and opposite to the Sun, which is hanging out with Mercury and Venus in the South Node. So big pile of Scorpio placements over here in the 11th house. Now, a lunar eclipse is often a time of very strong emotions. This one happening in your 5th house means that it might be about your creativity, your self-expression. Your inner child really wants to come out and play and is feeling very rebellious. That's because of the placement of Uranus here, and quite stubborn, and that's because of all this Taurus. Now, the thing to know about an eclipse is that it's a time when we have to look at our shadow. And in particular, a lot of shadowy emotions are stirred up during a lunar eclipse. And so I think you should watch out and make sure that it's not your inner brat that comes out. and that it doesn't sort of splat on your friends and compromise friendships. And that's because these planets over here are really emphasizing the house of friends, groups, networks, communities. And so I think during this particular eclipse, it's going to be really important for you to make sure that you don't embarrass yourself in public. Ooh, Capricorn does not like that. So as you can see, and Julian mentioned it, there's a big grouping of planets here in the 11th house, which is a very social house, whether that has to do with groups that you relate with socially or through work. And as the month progresses, these planets gradually funnel on over into the 12th house, and the last of them really to arrive is the sun. And wherever the sun goes, we want to bring the light of our high quality attention. It's like sunlight, and wherever you place your attention, things can thrive and flourish. And the 12th house, as Julia said, is a house of isolation. It's a house of solitude. And so this really signifies the beginning of your annual mop-up period, which is the last 30 days before your birthday. And it's a time when you find yourself pulling inward, wanting to be more alone, and feeling the currents of change eddying and swirling around you. And it's a time when you'll feel the themes and the concerns of the previous year are beginning to rush to conclusion, or you may just want to declare them, DOA. It's just not going to happen this year. This year is almost over for me. I'm going to need a fresh start on my birthday. So the 12th house placement of the sun and Mercury and Venus is going to pull you inward while you're coping with all those things. And also while you're intuitively beginning to feel the New Year's themes approaching. And that's really why I recommend getting a solar return birthday reading in this part of your year. Now, right after the seasonal shift, we have the new moon in Sagittarius. And let me shift this by some hours so that we can really see that. There's that moon and that sun together in early Sagittarius right there in your 12th house. Now, this moon is really positive and upbeat. There is so much to love about this moon. We're calling it the wisdom of foolish hope, which is probably something as a Capricorn that you don't really subscribe to that much. But I think that this moon could be a really good time to indulge yourself around hoping, wishing, dreaming, imagining, manifesting some things that you want, that you dream about, but that you don't always take seriously as something you could bring into the world. So this particular moon is a really great one for dreaming up those kinds of things. And it is happening on November 23rd. Yes. And so have some foolish hopes, have some dreams, let your imagination expand under this moon. You never know what happens when you overshoot. Sometimes your arrow can land, maybe not on what you were targeting, but on something pretty good, maybe better than you've ever had before. All right. Well, thank you for watching this video today. It's great to see you always, Capricorn. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can find out more about this month's moons and especially about Mars retrograde, because we made a video about it. It's on our YouTube channel in the playlist for this month, November 2022. It's also on our monthly forecast page on PandoraAstrology.com. And on our website, you can book a reading with us or take a class. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.